On the 26th of November 2025, Liverpool, reigning English champions, suffered a crushing 4-1 defeat to PSV at Anfield in the UEFA Champions League. Their ninth loss in 12 matches across all competitions, a run of form unseen in decades. Their third consecutive heavy defeat by a margin of 3 or more goals, following 3-0 defeats in the Premier League. A serious blow to their home fortress reputation. More home defeats this season than they suffered in the entirety of last season. Given the backdrop, a huge summer spending spree reportedly, £446 million, high expectations domestically and in Europe, the collapse against PSV raises existential level questions for club, players, and manager alike. After the defeat, Arne Slot addressed the media, giving a candid and emotionally charged reaction, one that reflected shock, disappointment, and a sense of responsibility. Slot admitted the result left him dismayed. He acknowledged that while the team had moments, especially in the first half after going 1-0 down, it ultimately wasn't nearly good enough. He emphasized that after PSV's early penalty, Liverpool reacted well and, until halftime, we played a very good game. He believed the squad had enough chances, maybe even enough to go 2-1 up, but lamented the second half collapse, conceding 3 goals after the break. Taking responsibility. It's not about pointing fingers. Slot didn't shy away from collective accountability. He was clear that this isn't just about individual errors, but a broader problem regarding the team's cohesion, concentration, and mentality. He rejected the notion that the players have lost their hunger or will to fight. Greater than, no, we haven't. But in moments of games we have lost too many duels. Slot described defensive lapses, in particular a breakdown in pressing and defensive discipline, as core issues. He also warned against overemphasis on individual mistakes now. Now is not the time to emphasize individual mistakes. On his job, the pressure, and the future. When asked whether he's worried for his future, Slot said his focus remains on improving the team, not on his own job security. He admitted he hasn't spoken to club hierarchy since the defeat, but insisted that they have regular conversations and he still feels their backing. According to Slot, several intertwined factors contributed to the collapse, some tactical, some psychological, some structural. Slot highlighted defensive vulnerability as the main problem. He argued that the defenders and goalkeeper were sometimes too preoccupied with possession rather than being alert to defending moments. In pressurized moments, especially after conceding, the team struggled to win duels or maintain defensive discipline. Slot noted that the pressing game, which had been a feature of Liverpool's style, deteriorated in the second half. He attributed part of that to a suspected back injury to a player in that match that disrupted their pressing rhythm, but added that the lack of intensity and sharpness was a symptom of a broader issue. Without an effective press, Liverpool allowed PSV too much space and time, leading to goals and momentum swings. Slot admitted the recent run of heavy defeats had taken a toll on the team's mentality. Even when they responded well early in games, or in the first half, maintaining standards became harder as pressure and frustration built. He implied that the accumulation of setbacks has drained confidence. It's hard, when you had so many disappointments. Slot refused to treat the PSV loss as an isolated event. Given the broader context, multiple defeats, big summer investment, evolving squad, he sees the problem as systemic, a collective failure to meet the standards expected at Liverpool. He believes that blaming individual mistakes alone won't solve it. The entire team needs to improve, including how they defend, press, and mentally prepare. It wasn't all doom. Slot sought to salvage a few encouraging signs, even amid the despair. At least until halftime, Liverpool showed the kind of reaction and energy fans expect. After going behind early, they responded, created chances, and looked competitive. Slot emphasized that the fight, mentality, and unity are still there. He claims players haven't lost their will, even if consistency and standards have dipped. He remains committed to fixing the problems, day by day, focusing on improving the team rather than pointing fingers. However, whether these positives are meaningful or just lip service depends on the upcoming results. The window to rebuild confidence and faith is closing fast. The implications of the 4-1 loss, and Slot's reaction, extend far beyond a single match. The situation at Liverpool now sits at a dangerous crossroads. Following the PSV defeat and the broader slump, fans have voiced frustration. Many are questioning whether Slot still has the fight or tactical clarity to deliver. The optics of heavy defeats, inconsistent performances, and a once formidable home record crumbling, all contribute to mounting pressure on the manager and the club. Liverpool under Slot appears to be losing its identity, defensively fragile, tactically unstable, mentally drained. For a club used to competing for trophies, domestically and in Europe, this marks a profound fall from grace. That identity crisis isn't just about results, it's about how the team plays, how they defend, how they respond under pressure, and most importantly, whether players still believe in what the team stands for. Given the enormous financial investment in the squad in the summer, the underperformance is all the more glaring. Players like the expensive signing Alexander Isak and experienced stars like Mohamed Salah have failed to produce the consistency expected. These failures raise uncomfortable questions about recruitment, squad cohesion, and whether the team is built, or being managed, in a way that matches Liverpool's ambitions. With morale battered and confidence low, upcoming matches, both in domestic league and Europe, take on existential importance. The next Premier League games could define whether Liverpool salvage the season or fall deeper into crisis. Slot himself admits the timeframe is tight. If results don't improve rapidly, the pressure, from fans, insiders, and possibly club leadership, could reach breaking point. Arne Slot's response to the PSV defeat matters for three interrelated reasons. Accountability and transparency. By publicly owning responsibility, Slot avoids scapegoating players, and acknowledges systemic problems. In a moment of crisis, such honesty can help preserve trust with fans, players, and hierarchy. Psychological management. Beyond tactics and training, the slump appears psychological. Slot signaling unity, demanding collective responsibility, and trusting in the squad's potential can be critical steps to rebuild morale. Setting expectations and standards. By refusing to dwell on individual mistakes but focusing on collective performance and mentality, Slot frames the challenge not as, player X underperformed, but, we as a group failed standards. If embraced by the squad, that could foster stronger collective discipline and identity. But for leadership to count, results must follow. Words alone won't steady the ship, performance will. Given the current crisis, here are the key things to monitor in the coming weeks to gauge whether Slot and Liverpool can turn things around, or whether this collapse deepens. Can the defense stop conceding frequent goals, especially in crucial moments? If Liverpool continue conceding multiple goals per game, structural defensive rework may be necessary, new tactics, personnel changes, or even systemic rebuilding. Will the team retain the intensity and pressing game that used to define them, or will they remain passive and reactive? Slot's hope is to restore pressing discipline. Success here could help regain control in games. Can the players bounce back, psychologically? The leadership's call for unity and collective responsibility will only matter if players respond on the pitch, with fight, concentration, and togetherness. Will the club hierarchy keep backing Slot if results don't improve? So far, Slot claims he feels the trust, but continued heavy losses could erode that quickly. Players brought in over the summer, like Alexander Isak, need to find form, and experienced players like Salah need to lead by example. Their performance or lack of it could shape the season's trajectory. Arne Slot's reaction after the 4-1 loss to PSV reveals a coach under pressure, painfully aware of failing standards, but still trying to assert leadership, accountability, and hope. He admitted the emotions were negative and disappointing, conceded responsibility, and refused to throw individuals under the bus. At the same time, the scale of the slump, 9 defeats in 12 games, repeated heavy losses, a disintegrating defense, and eroding confidence, deepens the crisis, threatening not only tactical stability but the identity and soul of a club built on fight, resilience, and high standards. For Liverpool, this moment feels like a hinge. Either the team regroups quickly, restores discipline and unity, or risks spiraling into one of the darkest chapters of recent history. Slot's words matter, but more important now are actions, on the training ground, on the pitch, and in the dressing room.